When an elderly lady entered the shop, Kang Haek asked her to sit down, and she requested some pasta. Realizing it was her first time eating pasta, he cooked tomato pasta for her. However, she didn't like it and left it untouched after taking a single bite. The village chief entered the store just as she left and found the young chef shocked because the old lady had left his food. Kang Haek entered a slump due to the fact that the old lady had left almost the entire plate untouched. The village chief tried to comfort him, starting by asking what was wrong and if the preparations for the restaurant weren't going well. Kang Haek coldly replied that even if the preparations weren't going well, there was no problem because he was going to shut down his restaurant as of that day. Dude, it hadn't even opened yet, which was exactly what the village chief was thinking. He soon understood that the reason Kang Haek was so gloomy was because old Grandma Park had left behind so much food. He laughed it off, telling Kang Haek that it wasn't like he had one master chef or any other cooking competition where he could satisfy everyone. This made him even more mad because he had actually won an international cooking competition. The village chief told him to just shrug it off because Grandma Park probably didn't even come there for food. He told the boy that someone closely associated with the old lady used to come there often, so she might be there just for the nostalgia. Kang Haek was curious who that person was, and the village chief said he was talking about the old lady's husband. He was a regular customer of that place when it was a tea shop, but he passed away last year. After that, Grandma Park had spent almost all her time alone, and even the villagers rarely got to see her. The village chief believed that the old lady still thought about her husband a lot, but the dead wouldn't return to life no matter how much you mourned them. He said that the living should move ahead with their lives because clinging to the past was foolish. He then got back on track and told Kang Haek that it wasn't his fault because Grandma Park was already picky enough when it came to food. Given her special situation, she might have reacted worse than usual, so Kang Haek didn't need to pay it any mind. Kang Haek replied, how could he not pay it any mind after hearing her story? The thoughts gave him a headache, so he headed out to camp in the other world. In front of him, the Giga Chat Rabbit was doing push-ups, and White Rice was sitting on top of him. Kang Haek thought that because of them, no monster would dare come near him, and that would give him ample time to sort out his thoughts. He stretched, thinking how stunned he was when the old lady left without eating his food. But he felt sorry for her after hearing her full story. However, he was still shocked that she left the dish he was most confident in and wondered if he should prepare some Korean food for her next time. Suddenly, Kang Haek noticed something above his head, and it was the same feral cat girl from before. She got nervous as she saw that he had noticed her, but Kang Haek was in no mood to deal with her right now. The girl began screaming for God knows what reason, and Kang Haek just stared at her with boredom. He thought that the girl was hungry, just like the last time, and began searching his bag for something. As White Rice got close to Kang Haek, the cat girl descended from the tree too. Kang Haek cooked up some juicy steak, and then he was ready to put some hot sauce on it, but then he recalled the last time. The cat girl was not really able to handle the spice well, and she flinched as she saw the hot sauce bottle. Kang Haek decided to skip it. He melted butter in another pan and then roasted some mushrooms on it with a bit of pepper and salt. He added some cream for thickness and then added some cheese too, before putting cooked pasta in the mix. As the finishing touch, he put the steak on top of the pasta, and his creamed steak pasta was done. He gave a plate to the cat girl, who growled at him. Kang Haek told her that she could growl at him later, and right now, she needed to eat it quickly before it was stolen from her. She was a bit anxious about the taste of chili from the last time, but decided to take a bite nonetheless. With just the first bite, she felt herself in a different dimension, with angelic cats preparing the meat and the cream for her. She meowed in pleasure at eating the pasta and rapidly gobbled everything up. She looked at Kang Haek with eager eyes, as if to tell him that she liked what he cooked without chili. He could tell that she wanted more of it, even though the girl seemed unable to use words. He was pleased that she was satisfied more than she was when she ate the spicy stew. However, Kang Haek wasn't a big fan of the creamed steak pasta because it was really greasy and heavy, which didn't work for him. On top of that, it was more of a shabby fusion than an authentic pasta. It worked for me, so he could give that to me if he wasn't going to eat it. The cat girl also thought the same and began rubbing against Kang Haek's leg to act cute so that he would give her more food. He ruffled her hair and thought that it didn't matter if the pasta was authentic or not, as long as it suited her. Suddenly, he had an eureka moment and immediately returned home. He washed some spring onions in the sink and called White Rice to help him find the best batch. Well, White Rice wanted to say that he was a dog and not a donkey who would eat grass and turn away from the plates. Kang Haek was disappointed, but he thought that it wouldn't be very difficult, even if he had to do it without White Rice's help, because the taste of all the ingredients was ingrained in his mind. He began cooking, and outside his store, there was a notice saying that the restaurant would open up next week because of his personal reasons. Well, the village chief was outside the store, and he got what was going through Kang Haek's mind when he read the notice. He visited Grandma Park's house and cheerfully told her that she should go out more often because there were many fun things outside her house. She rudely asked him what brought him there all of a sudden, and he said that he just wanted to check up on a neighbor. The village chief laughed, saying that the young chef was quite shocked after Grandma Park left his noodles untouched. She simply said that the dish didn't suit her taste, and there was nothing so shocking in that. The village chief agreed with her and then said that since she didn't have much to do, she should pay him a second visit. Grandma Park asked him why she should bother to do that, because the one chance she gave him was enough. He tried to convince her that things might be different this time, and then tried coddling the old woman by saying that it was not far away from her home. He asked her to give Kang Haek another chance because it could be worth the effort, and then walked away. Back at the restaurant, Kang Haek had finished his new pasta recipe, and he seemed satisfied. He had added some fresh vegetables and seafood to create a harmonious and local taste. But the main problem now was how he could invite Grandma Park there again. Suddenly, the doorbell rang, and Kang Haek went outside to see who it was this time. To his surprise, it was Grandma Park again, and she once again asked him if he was open. The Lady Loki seemed like a robot. Well, Kang Haek was glad to have her over and said that they were open. Grandma Park sat down to eat and wondered if Kang Haek knew that she would come again because he had already prepared the food for her. She thought that it was going to be the American noodles again, and the Italians were once again not happy about her remark. Grandma Park didn't like the taste of Western noodles, and she thought that it would have been better if she had not come there. Then suddenly, she sensed an enticing smell and wondered where it was coming from. Kang Haek placed the plate of pasta he had made for her, and thanked her for waiting. He told the old lady that this was an item from his restaurant's special menu, the daily pasta. The old woman was confused as she looked at the pasta and wondered if they had dailies in the States. She also noticed the clams on the plate and decided to give it a try. She picked up some noodles and wondered if they would taste better than before. Well, when the taste of spring onions hit her, it suddenly took her down the nostalgia rabbit hole. She remembered the last and most memorable spring she spent with her husband, watching the cherry blossom trees. He said that the flowers had bloomed more that year than the previous years, and then picked up a few and began flirting with Grandma Park, calling her a young miss and asking if she was free that day. He invited her to a cup of coffee playfully, and she asked him if he had gone senile or something. The taste of the noodles made her relive those memories vibrantly, and she looked outside the window and saw cherry blossoms falling down. She thought that it was finally spring again. She then asked Kang Haek if this dish was not on the menu before, and he replied that it was not. She asked him if he made it for her, and then demanded to know why he went out of his way to do this. Kang Haek simply replied that he wanted to make food she would like, and then added that he wanted to try something new and improve. Grandma Park was moved by his words. Kang Haek thought that he couldn't rely on White Rice forever, and that was why he wanted to satisfy his first guest without his help. Grandma Park began eating the pasta silently, and Kang Haek could only stare at her in awe as she finished everything. She then asked him how much she owed him, and he nervously told her that it was fine, and she didn't have to give him anything. She sighed, asking what kind of restaurant owner didn't accept payment from his customers. She insisted that since she ate so well, she must pay for it. She asked Kang Haek to not lower the value of the food he made for any reason, and then told him to add this dish to the menu as well because she would come by again. Kang Haek was left speechless by her gesture, and he was happy that he succeeded in winning her over. Later, he went back to the other world to enjoy some free time. He had set up a hammock for himself there, as well as a comfy bed for White Rice. Kang Haek was happy that he managed to satisfy his first customer, and successfully opened his restaurant. Now, he was going to take some time to heal from his stress. He made up an excuse that White Rice kicked up a fuss if he didn't come there regularly anyway, so it was the perfect place for him to come and relax over the weekend. He was a bit too excited for someone who just wanted to relax. Then suddenly, something huge and gray flew overhead. Kang Haek didn't even understand what just happened, and then suddenly, the night captain Randolph arrived there. He found Kang Haek on the ground, his campsite ruined and destroyed. The night captain was shocked to see him there and then cheerfully greeted him, saying that it had been a long time. Kang Haek was furious and wondered if Randolph's eyes were just for decoration because he didn't seem to notice the situation he was in. Kang Haek got up, and Randolph was praising his choice for picking up a good spot. Kang Haek asked him if he was on patrol again that day, and Randolph said that it was his day off, so he just came there to hunt a bit. White Rice showed some interest after hearing that word, and Randolph got excited too. He declared that this time he would treat them to a meal and ask them to come hunting with him. While White Rice was eager to do that, Kang Haek was just dumbfounded. He didn't want to go, but there he was, holding a bow and a quiver of arrows tied behind his back. He was not happy that his peaceful healing time was over, but White Rice was busy with Randolph, and they were hiding in the bushes, waiting for the jumping birds that were found in that area. Kang Haek was curious about the jumping birds, and Randolph told him to look ahead to see what he was talking about. The jumping birds were just ostriches, but in flamingo colors. Kang Haek thought that their fur looked like cotton candy, and he felt sorry that Randolph was going to kill those cute creatures. It seemed that the night captain could guess what he was thinking. He told Kang Haek that the feathers might look cute, but the jumping birds were a short-haired species. Kang Haek was confused, and Randolph told him that it was not the real look of the jumping birds, and the pink part was not their fur. Suddenly, two birds got into a fight, and they suddenly revealed that they were gigachads of the bird empire, and the pink stuff was actually their highly compressed muscles. Kang Haek was terrified and wondered if Randolph really wanted him to catch those dangerous creatures. Well, his opinion didn't matter because Randolph and White Rice were already charging towards the birds, and they asked Kang Haek to support them from behind. On the way, Randolph taught Kang Haek how to shoot properly, but if he could have learned how to shoot accurately in such a short time, he would be an Olympic-level archer and not a chef. He decided to calm down and put an arrow on the bow anyway. He strained to pull the string, aimed the arrow at the birds, and then released it forward. Well, the arrow reached quite close, but not close to the birds. It barely missed hitting White Rice, who gave Kang Haek a dumbfounded stare, and so did Randolph while he was strangling the gigabird. White Rice felt betrayed by his friend, and Kang Haek nervously apologized to him. Night came soon, and Randolph was cooking the bird meat over the fire. He asked Kang Haek if he was sure he could eat by himself because his arm was vibrating like an old Nokia phone was tied to it. Kang Haek replied that he could endure that much, and rather than himself, he was worried about something else. The jumping bird meat stank, and Kang Haek thought it would be too rude to cover his nose as it cooked. Soon, the meat was ready, and Randolph gave a piece to Kang Haek. White Rice was missing from the scene, and his piece lay on his plate. Reluctantly, Kang Haek took the first bite and found that the bird's meat could really stimulate his dead taste buds because it tasted so bad. Randolph thought he was dumbstruck because it was so good and decided to cook some more. Panicking, Kang Haek asked him to let him cook, but then suddenly froze, wondering if he could really cook something whose taste he didn't know. However, he decided to throw away his worries because, just earlier that day, he had proved himself by cooking pasta for Grandma Park. He threw his cloak down and told Randolph that since he was a chef, he would make something using this meat for him. Kang Haek first removed the blood from the meat in a nearby creek so that the bad smell vanished. However, draining the blood was a slow process, and it would take at least half a day to clean a chunk of meat that size. The meat was not completely clean, but it was what he had to work with. So, in order to remove the bad smell, Kang Haek poured some dark beer on the meat. Randolph instantly sneaked behind him and asked him if he was pouring beer into the bucket. He demanded an explanation about how he could waste such a precious thing, but Kang Haek was not having it. He told the night captain to create a frame on which he could hang the pot, and Randolph obeyed silently. Kang Haek then remarked that it would be nice if they had some laurel leaves or herbs. He filled up the pot with an equal amount of beer and water in the meantime, and then added onions, pepper, salt, and sugar. He left the mixture to cook for about an hour, and when it was done, he asked Randolph to help him put it down. Kang Haek then removed the lid of the pot, and the smell of the cooked meat stew was so delicious that even white rice had returned. Randolph asked if it was done, and Kang Haek replied that they still had to roast it one more time. Normally, he would have put it in an oven, but since he was camping, he would use an open fire instead. After the meat was roasted well, Kang Haek cut it into smaller chunks to complete the dish. As Randolph held the plate for the finished dish, he wondered if this wonderful scent was really coming from jumping bird meat. Randolph knew that even the best chefs in this territory had given up on making the meat taste good. He couldn't believe that Kang Haek could do the impossible, but as he took a bite, he felt lightning coursing through his body. He wondered what the hell this taste was and began gobbling up the meat. The outside was as crispy as a cookie, but the inside was juicy and tender. Randolph felt like he was in heaven and wondered if this was the meat of the jumping birds that he had eaten hundreds of times before. However, he felt that there was something missing in this dish that would make it balanced and perfect. He had his eureka moment and immediately asked Kang Haek to give him some beer because it would fit perfectly with the dish. Kang Haek told him to go and grab one himself, so Randolph did it. As he relished the taste of the beer and then took a healthy bite of the meat, he was proud of his own intuition. He remarked that this was the perfect dish to go along with alcohol. He praised Kang Haek greatly, saying that he would never get tired, even if he ate this dish for the rest of his life. However, Kang Haek was not really thrilled because he could have gotten rid of all the foul smell if he had more time. Kang Haek turned to White Rice to ask what he thought, and he wagged his tail decently fast to say that he liked it. While the wolf pup was asking for more, Kang Haek was still contemplating how he could have made the dish better. This left Randolph dumbfounded, and he now believed that Kang Haek's skill level must be higher than that of the imperial chef if he was not satisfied with the delicious meal he had just cooked. Later, a mildly drunk Randolph said that he wanted to treat Kang Haek to a meal this time, but he ended up getting treated by him again. He wanted to know how such a cooking technique could exist in the world. Kang Haek was glad that he liked it, and Randolph said that after this, he could never eat normal jumping bird meat again. He asked Kang Haek if it would be fine if he copied his cooking technique, and he replied that it would be fine because it was nothing special anyway. Randolph cut him off mid-sentence. He said that he was acquainted with some chefs, and that was why he knew the value of Kang Haek's skills. Randolph told him that his dishes were brilliant, so he should not undervalue himself. Kang Haek was happy to hear that and thanked the night captain. Randolph then decided to repay Kang Haek for all the amazing and precious things he had shown him, and his idea of repaying him was to teach him swordsmanship. Kang Haek was dumbfounded by his suggestion, and Randolph repeated himself in case he did not understand him. He proudly said that right now he was situated in this rural area, but once he was a reputed knight in the capital, and he thought that his swordsmanship lessons would be a valuable reward for Kang Hayek. Kang Hayek tried telling him that he was just a chef, and Randolph suddenly started laughing as he declared that countless people came to him and begged him to teach them swordsmanship. Kang Hayek asked him to teach those people then, but Randolph said that he didn't like them. He told Kang Hayek to be ready with a beer and a meat dish for him the next time they met, and then he would teach him some swordsmanship. While Kang Hayek was not interested in learning it, he understood that the knight captain might be embarrassed to get treated to a free meal every time. He realized that Randolph would be uncomfortable if he racked up any more debts now. Kang Hayek decided to accept his offer because he could just consider the swordsmanship training as a workout, and if he got stronger because of it, he would be able to use heavy utensils properly too. Soon, the night sky was covered by the northern lights, and as Kang Hayek admired them, he had no idea what the consequences of accepting Randolph's offer would be. Back in the village, it had been a week since Kang Hayek's restaurant opened.